Hello, WD0AKX, Larry here. And today I thought I'd give a little video on some of the old handheld type radios, walkie-talkie style HTs that I've kind of collected them over the years, I guess. Thought I'd give you a little look at them. Maybe you'll remember some of these models. Most of them I got either somebody gave me or picked up cheap at a ham fest, or I think there's a couple of them here that I purchased new, but most of them are just used that I added to the collection here. Start off with this Motorola HT-200. This is an early 1960s model that Motorola came out with. One of their first, maybe the very first, not sure, but it's a very early model of a walkie-talkie style radio that Motorola came out with in use, very wide use in the 1960s and up into the 1970s. This model was used locally by an ambulance service here, and probably in the mid 1960s up until maybe the early 1970s, something like that. It's built like a tank. It had the extendable antenna on it. I believe there was an option for a rubber duck style antenna. 2-channel radio, very bulky, but you've probably seen these radios before. They were used if you watched Dragnet or Adam 12 or Emergency. You probably saw them using this radio, this model. This is a VHF model, and probably saw them in the TV shows. I do have a pair of them here. This is a charger. Has the trickle charge or regular charge. You just slip them in there to charge it. So we've got a set of those. The next radio here is a realistic TRC 206. It's a 3-channel and a 3-watt CB walkie-talkie. And it worked fairly decent. Had the long extendable whip antenna, and these antennas actually worked very good on these radios at the time. You can see it's a long antenna, and so bulky radio, especially compared to the ones you can buy nowadays, but it worked fairly good for what you got at the time. The next radio here is also a realistic TRC 200. This is a 5-watt 6-channel radio. It had that same long extendable antenna on it, and volume and squelch. The other one had a volume and squelch also. And this is a 6-channel, labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F, the channels. It had a little meter on top for the RF signal strength and the battery level. The thing about this one is you could plug in any CB off the realistic CB mobiles they had, the Radio Shack mobiles. Any of those handheld mics would plug directly into this radio, so if you wanted to use an external microphone with it, you could, or you could unplug it. And another bulky radio, but it did work fairly well. You could plug it in to a cigarette light adapter for 12-volt power, or use rechargeable batteries. Now this thing had strips, metal strips on each side of the radio, if you can see that, and that helped for ground plane. They figured you'd be holding the radio, so he made skin contact with that ground plane, and it did help out the signal strength of the radio somewhat. You could tell the receive pick up a little bit when you grab the radio, and I'm sure it helped on transmit a little too. At the time, I never thought of it back then when I had the radio, but I should have took a screw out and attached a full quarter wave, like a 9-foot little wire on there to see what that would do. That would have been interesting. It would have probably helped quite a bit. So that's that radio, and I think my dad purchased this radio actually in about 1976, maybe 1977, to throw in the trunk of his car just to have as a backup emergency type radio. Yeah, it'd be great for that. And it still works. The next radio I'll show you is a Genève. Had a DTMF touchtone pad. It's a VHF radio. I think it ran about 5 watts. Designed for the business band on VHF frequencies. They did have 6 channels, a volume and a squelch, a rubber duck style antenna, a rechargeable battery. Now I think I got this one at a Hamfest probably in the early to mid 1980s, and I converted. Nah, it was probably before that. I think it was before 1980 that I purchased this, and I put 2-meter crystals in, used it on a couple of the local 2-meter repeaters and 5.2 simplex, and it worked very well. Good radio. It's a heavy radio. It's all steel and metal, a metal case. No plastic here, so it's quality built. And I think this radio still works. I haven't tried it lately, powering it up, but it worked last I knew. So that's a Genève. Next radio here, another CB radio. This is a Midland 100 milliwatt. More of a kiddie style radio, but they could be used in the woods for hunting and that type probably. It's a 3-channel, and these are, I have a set of them. They're still working. Took a 9-volt battery, so maybe you remember these radios. I don't know if you've seen those before. These are out of the early to mid 1970s. This was a 1974 model actually. And I have another one here that is in case, a little housing you could add to it. I think it came with the radios. Little leather case there you could carry it in. And let me show you this Genève again. I don't know if I put that up with the camera here, but that's what that Genève looks like. And you maybe want to watch the video in high definition or full screen to be able to pull out a little more detail on some of this. Next radio I'll show you here, this is more recent. This is my tri-band transceiver here by Yaesu, a VX5R. And this is probably from about 1999 or so, I think, when I purchased this, right around there, give or take a year or two. So this radio is actually well over 10 years old now, I believe. Still working good. I'm still on the original batteries. I got 2 batteries for it. Still working fine, but they're starting to shorten. The life is starting to shorten on them a little bit, so I'm gonna have to order some new batteries pretty soon for it. I added the longer antenna here for it. The stock antenna is right here, but the longer antennas always work a little better on these radios, so I've got an MFJ antenna that I added to that. Next radio here is a Wilson, and that's a VHF business band type radio or police band, and worked fine. I think this one has some problems. I believe I see how the case kind of split open there, so I think I might have crystaled that up on 2 meters at one time, but never used it very long. And I have another CB walkie-talkie. Now this is one of the early walkie-talkies that I bought when I was into CB in the mid 1970s there. This is about 1975 or so, and me and my buddies used to talk on CB walkie-talkies around town. This is before I got my ham license, but that's what led up to getting my ham license, talking on CB 11 meters, and went on to ham radio. But these radios were a lot of fun, and this radio still works. Takes a 9-volt battery, and I'll give you the model. This is the TRC 75, and it's a 3-channel superhet type receiver, or 2-channel, 100 milliwatt. It does have a call button on it, so you can flip the call switch up and press the PTT, and it'll emit that beep to the other radio. Has a little battery indicator on it. All right, I'll keep moving on. This is a little Wilson portable, another VHF. Now this is a UHF Wilson used on GMRS frequencies. It still works. Need a new battery if I want to use it. I'm not using it right now, but it works. This is a low band radio here, and this is a Maxon, and I believe it's a 5-watt, but 6-channel. Volume and squelch. You can see the antenna is a little different. They have a loading section in here, so it'll work on low band frequencies. I think it was designed for around 40 to 50 megahertz range, something like that. And I have a Regency microcom radio. This is a VHF, another public service type radio or business band. And volume and squelch, external mic connector. So the Regency. And last of all here is an Alinco DJ160. I owned it. It's not working any longer, and I don't want to put the time into trying to fix it. It needs a new battery pack anyhow, but it did work fine at the time. It's a VHF 2-meter style handheld radio. So I hope you enjoyed looking at a few handheld radios here in my collection. I thought I'd just do this for the fun of it. Maybe you'd recognize some of these radios. So I guess for now we're gonna cut the video short. I'll say 7-3, and thanks for watching from WD0AKX.